at those numbers, we will really be able to create value. More of the fix and sell, type aspect. Again, over the last 7 years, we've added a number of new companies. We've divested a few. We've tried to mix up the business in both growth and profitability. Wow, what a challenge there. Those were all unique cultures that we have to bring in as well. Okay? Some big companies, some international companies. But over the last 2 years, we've spent almost $4 billion on acquisitions. And the other aspect is we're starting to dip into areas that we're not as familiar with. Okay? I think of our core business, that's making an acquisition that we're already serving that market. All right? And adjacent is maybe one step removed. Network Power sells UPS and cooling to data centers. So they know the data center market. But when they purchased Avocent, okay, right here, that's in data center infrastructure management, the software aspect of running a data center. That's a unique challenge not only for the business, the human resource side of that as well. Again, serving the same customer, different technology, different applications. If I look at career development, and as I talk to employees that I've managed throughout my career, here's the aspects that I try to drive home within Emerson. Okay? I know there's differences along the way, but the responsibility for the career really rests with that employee. And for them to think about, okay, you have to give them feedback and you have to give them coaching, but here's where I exist today. Here's where I think your next steps as far as skills you need to work on, attributes you need to develop. And it goes to them. There's a partnership there. Within Emerson, such a very, I think, open, non-political, very giving organization in that employee, find the role models. It's not a role model. Take the best of the best of what you see in this individual and that individual. And then also the mentoring. When I first started 23 years ago, there wasn't mentoring programs. Now there are great seeds of development relative to mentoring, okay, that are starting. So if your division doesn't have one today, shame on you. You probably saw best practices of where you can implement those. But find role models and mentor. The other aspect is that we're so transparent, is if you can be a good observer, you're halfway there. Okay? The next half is, can you implement what you observe? Okay? Whether it's in work habits, qualities, communication skills, the way people interact with each other, all important. Let your career intentions be known. I see sometimes people sit back and they're waiting, for that next role. That's why I use the term raise your hand. I want to be the next head of finance in this world area or this division. Oftentimes, if those are known, then you can develop a plan. Continue to learn and develop throughout your career. I was very honest with, I showed you my different development, or some of my development milestones. I would say to myself that I sharpened my saw enough in the last 5 years. Okay? Again, what new skills, what attributes have I brought on? You have to be open and willing. Okay? That's the other, that goes back to my, are you hiring people that are open and willing for new challenges, new roles, to step out of their division, to cross a business group, to go from an HR role to an operations role. Okay. And then there'll be ups and downs through a career. Stay positive. Okay. That's the kind of the coaching, if I had to boil it down to a few things that I'd like to pass along to the employees. And with that, if they can learn that, what then makes a good leader great within Emerson? I've highlighted about 10 things. So many of them you've heard in one way, shape, or form, so I'll go quickly through them. they're kind of at the heart. Set the performance standards. Let everybody know what you stand for. If you stand for right the first time, or punctuality, or thoroughness, or whatever those attributes, they got to know that. Okay? One piece is coaching. You know, it's not just an annual performance appraisal. It's the pat on the back after a job well done. It's the constructive criticism over something that can be done better the next time. You know, are we being active coaches as we develop? Number 2 is communicate, 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 communicate. Those 129,000 employees are too precious to be misaligned or misinformed. And as I see the divisions of the world areas that aren't as successful as they can, is there's misalignment. They don't have goal congruency. They might be having flavor of the day, or the engineering department wants to work on this new project while the marketing department wants to work on this one, while the sales is saying this. Okay? If we can communicate and narrow it to the alignment, that these are the most strategic, these are the most important, we'll be effective. You know, within Emerson, be a good team player with great teammates. Oh, pretty simple, right? But be a good team player. You know, that's why we added cooperation to the performance appraisal, you know, in the color me green charts. Because as I've seen people, you know, they struggle with, they're very division focused. And they even have trouble crossing the lines with working with their fellows in the business group. And they really struggle working across world areas. You know, if you can't operate in that multi-matrixed organization, whether it's world area, business group, division, you're going to struggle. Okay. But very important. Be action-oriented with a sense of urgency. That's driven from the top. The Monzers, the FARs, you know, the sense of urgency. You know, I rest my head on my pillow every night knowing that we're led by great leaders with those attributes. You know, we're being led well from a company. And I see it from an observer standpoint. Now, can I implement it? That's my challenge. You know, they're setting the path. They're showing what it takes to be a great leader. Make the tough decision. You know, you'll all be faced with that. You have been before. You know, as I look at GM, General Motors here in the U.S., they didn't make the tough decision 10 years ago.